I watched Jake's hands shake as he gripped his coffee cup, and I knew whatever he was about to tell me would change everything. The streetlights flickered across his pale face at the empty seaside parking lot, where he'd asked me to meet him at midnight with a text that simply said, "I need to tell someone or I'll lose my mind." "Sarah, I've been carrying something for years," he whispered, his voice cracking, "something that's eating me alive." We'd served together in the Navy, bonded over shared trauma and late-night conversations about the demons we both carried. I'd seen Jake at his worst, through panic attacks and dark episodes, but I'd never seen this particular look in his eyes. Pure, suffocating guilt mixed with something I couldn't quite place. "Whatever it is, you can tell me," I said, though my stomach was already knotting. He stared out at the black ocean for what felt like forever. The waves crashed against the rocks below us, drowning out the sound of my heartbeat pounding in my ears. "When I was 16, I was confused about everything. My sexuality, my place in the world, who I was supposed to be." He paused, his jaw clenching. "I was getting bullied constantly, had zero friends. And my family, you know how traditional they are. Asian household, strict parents, expectations through the roof." I nodded, encouraging him to continue, even as something primal in my gut screamed at me to stop him. I told my sister Emma about what I was going through, about being confused, about not knowing if I was gay or straight or what. And I asked her, he stopped, his breathing becoming ragged. I asked her to kiss me, to help me figure it out. My blood went cold. "Jake, what are you saying?" She said no at first, obviously, but I kept pushing, kept saying I needed to know, that she was the only person I trusted. And eventually, his voice dropped to barely a whisper. She agreed. "Just a kiss," she said, "to help me." But it didn't stop there. The coffee cup in my hand felt impossibly heavy. I wanted to throw it, to run, to unhear what I was hearing. But I sat frozen, watching my friend unravel. We slept together, Sarah, multiple times. I was 16, she was 19, and afterward, I felt like I'd committed the worst sin imaginable. The question hung in the air between us, unspoken but deafening. The question I couldn't bring myself to ask, because asking it would make this real, would confirm that my friend, my brother in arms, had crossed a line I didn't know existed until this moment. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. The ocean seemed louder now, drowning everything. My hands clenched around the cup until my knuckles turned white. Every instinct told me to react, to say something profound, but all that came out was a strangled whisper. "Jake, that's really messed up, but you need to find a way to forgive yourself and try to be happy." The words left my mouth before I could stop them. Generic, useless words that meant nothing and everything. Jake didn't respond. He just nodded slowly, stood up, and walked back to his car without another word. That conversation was 2 years ago. We finished our service, moved back to civilian life, and kept in touch sporadically. Drinks every few months, text messages here and there. I tried not to think about what he'd told me, tried to convince myself it was a one-time mistake from his confused teenage years, something he'd moved past. Then last week, Jake called me sounding happier than I'd ever heard him, genuinely joyful. My relief lasted exactly 30 seconds. "Sarah, can we meet up? Same place? I have amazing news." Something in his tone made my skin crawl, but I agreed. Maybe he'd met someone. Maybe he was engaged. Maybe he'd found peace through therapy. I clung to those maybes like lifelines. Now I'm sitting in my car in that same parking lot, watching Jake walk toward me with a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. He's carrying a folder under his arm, a thick manila folder that he clutches like it contains state secrets. "Thanks for coming," he says, sliding into my passenger seat. "Of course. You sounded happy on the phone." I am happy, happier than I've ever been. He places the folder on his lap, but doesn't open it. "Remember what you told me that night about forgiving myself and trying to be happy?" My throat constricts. "Jake." "I took your advice. I let go of the guilt, and I discovered something incredible." His eyes are gleaming now, fever bright. "I'm in love with Emma. Really, truly in love. And she loves me too. The parking lot spins around me. What are you talking about? That was years ago. You're still... We never stopped, Sarah. Well, that's not exactly true. There was a gap, but we reconnected 6 months ago. I can't breathe. The air in the car feels thick, suffocating. You need to stop this. You need therapy. This isn't love. This is... I know how it sounds. Trust me, I know. But let me explain what really happened. He opens the folder slightly, and I catch a glimpse of photographs. My stomach lurches. After that, first time, Emma changed. She threatened me, said if I didn't keep sleeping with her, she'd tell our parents that I forced myself on her, that I was the predator. The revelation hits me like a physical blow. She blackmailed you? For 3 years. I was her personal toy. Whenever she wanted, however she wanted. I hated myself, hated her, hated everything. His voice is eerily calm, like he's discussing the weather. But somewhere along the way, something shifted. I started to want it, started to need her. And now we're together, really together. She doesn't threaten me anymore. We're equals now, partners. My hand moves to the door handle. Every fiber of my being screams to leave, to get away from this confession, from the folder he's holding, from the nightmare unfolding in my passenger seat. Sarah, wait. I need someone to understand. You're the only person who knows, the only person I can talk to about this. You need to tell someone, a therapist, the police. This is abuse, Jake. Even if you think you love her now, this started as abuse. It's not like that anymore. Look, I'll show you. He starts to open the folder wider. No, the word comes out sharp, panicked. I don't want to see whatever's in there. But you need to understand. We're happy together. We're planning a future. We just have to hide it from everyone else. The casual way he says it, like he's talking about a forbidden office romance rather than something that could destroy his entire family, makes bile rise in my throat. Jake, I can't. I can't be part of this. You already are. You told me to be happy, remember? This is me being happy. The accusation lands like a punch. My own words, twisted and weaponized. I'd meant find therapy, find peace, move forward with your life. Not this. Never. That's not what I meant, and you know it. Maybe not, but it's what happened. He closes the folder and tucks it back under his arm. Emma and I are careful. We go on separate vacations that are actually together. We have a whole system worked out. Our family has no idea. What about her past relationships? She must have dated other people. Jake's expression darkens. She did. They were all terrible to her, abusive, manipulative. She says I'm the only one who really understands her, who really loves her. The manipulation is so obvious, so textbook, that I want to scream. But Jake is looking at me with such desperate hope, such a need for validation, that I realize he's too far gone to hear it. I met Emma at your sister's wedding last year, I say slowly, remembering. She seemed nice, normal. She hugged you like a regular sister. She's very good at pretending. We both are. He laughs, but there's no humor in it. Sometimes I forget which version of us is real. The siblings who bicker at family dinners, or the couple who can't keep their hands off each other the moment we're alone. I need to leave. I need to end this conversation, but something keeps me frozen in place. Maybe it's loyalty to the friend Jake used to be. Maybe it's morbid fascination. Maybe it's guilt, because he's right. I did tell him to let go of his guilt, and now he's weaponizing my words to justify the unjustifiable. Does she still threaten you? At all? Jake considers this. Not directly, but there's always this understanding between us. She has all the power, because she could destroy me with one conversation, one hint to our parents, and my life is over. She reminds me of that sometimes, in subtle ways. When I suggest maybe we should take a break, or when I mention seeing a therapist, she'll say something like, "I'd hate for anyone to get the wrong idea about us," or "Our secret is safe as long as we both want it to be." That's still blackmail, Jake. That's still abuse. Is it abuse if I want it? If I choose to stay? The question hangs between us, and I have no answer. Because how do you explain to someone that their choices aren't really choices when they were groomed and manipulated into making them? How do you convince someone they're a victim when they've spent years convincing themselves they're in love? I've tried to end it, Jake admits quietly. Twice. Once about a year after we reconnected. I told her we needed to stop, that it was wrong, that we should both move on with our lives. What happened? She cried, really cried. Said I was abandoning her, just like everyone else. Said she'd kept my secret all these years, protected me, loved me when no one else did. Then she showed me her wrists. He swallows hard. Old scars from her previous relationships. Said if I left her, she didn't know what she'd do. My heart sinks. Emma is a master manipulator, and Jake is so deeply entangled in her web that he can't see the threads choking him. The second time was 3 months ago. I'd been reading about codependency and trauma bonding online. I recognized us in every article, so I tried again to break it off. Told her I loved her, but we couldn't keep doing this. And she told me she was pregnant. The world stops. What? Turned out to be a false alarm. But for 2 weeks, I was convinced we were about to have a child together. A child that would be both my kid and my niece or nephew. The thought made me physically ill. But Emma... He pauses, something flickering across his face. Emma seemed almost excited, like she thought a baby would somehow make this okay, make us a real family. I'm going to be sick. I actually might throw up right here in my car. When she got her period, she cried for days. Not from relief, from disappointment. That's when I realized she's in deeper than I am. She actually wants this life. She wants us to be together forever, secret or not. You have to get away from her. I can't. Don't you see? She's family. She'll always be in my life. At every holiday, every birthday, every family event. I can't escape her even if I wanted to. And the thing is, he looks at me with eyes full of pain and something that might be genuine affection. I don't want to escape her. Not really. She's my person. She knows all of me, every dark corner, every shameful moment, and she stays anyway. Because she created those dark corners, Jake. She's the reason you feel shame. Maybe. Or maybe I was always broken and she's the only one willing to love me anyway. The defeat in his voice crushes something in my chest. This isn't my friend talking. This is a shell of a person who's been so thoroughly manipulated that he's incorporated his abuser's narrative as his own truth. Why are you telling me all this tonight? Why now? Jake opens the folder again, and this time I can't look away fast enough. Photographs. Not explicit ones, thank God, but intimate ones. Emma and Jake on a beach somewhere, his arm around her waist in a way that's definitely not brotherly. Emma kissing Jake's cheek while he smiles at the camera. The two of them in what looks like a hotel room, tangled together on a bed in their underwear. Our parents are pushing Emma to get married. They've been introducing her to eligible men from our community. Good Asian boys from good families. His voice drips with bitterness. She's 30 now. They think she's too picky, too focused on her career. They don't understand why she keeps turning everyone down. Because of you. Because of us. And now she's talking about telling them the truth. She thinks if we confess our love, if we show them how happy we are together, they'll eventually accept it. Maybe not right away, but someday. My blood runs cold. That's insane. Your parents will never accept this. Your whole family will implode. I know. I told her that. But she's becoming more and more convinced that we're like some tragic love story. Romeo and Juliet, but we survive. She thinks love conquers all, even this. It doesn't. Love doesn't conquer abuse and manipulation. It doesn't conquer the fact that she's your sister. Half-sister, Jake says quietly. Our dad remarried after his first wife died. Emma's from his first marriage. I know it doesn't really make a difference, but you tell yourself it makes it slightly less wrong? He nods miserably. The half-sibling details should make me feel better somehow, but it doesn't. The power dynamic, the age gap when it started, the years of blackmail, none of that changes. What do you want from me, Jake? Why are you really here? He's quiet for a long moment, staring at the photographs in his lap. I think I want you to tell me I'm not a monster, that I'm not the worst person alive, that maybe, somehow, this could be okay. My heart breaks for him. For the confused 16-year-old boy who just wanted to understand himself. For the young man who was victimized by someone who should have protected him. For my friend who's so lost in the fog of trauma and manipulation that he can't see the way out. Jake, you're not a monster. You're a victim. But you're also an adult now who's making choices to stay in an abusive situation. Those two things can both be true. That's not what I wanted to hear. I know, but it's what you need to hear. I take a deep breath. I think you should tell your parents, not because you're in love with Emma and want their blessing, but because you need help. You need someone to intervene before this destroys you. Completely. If I tell them, Emma will say, I forced her. She's reminded me of that. She has texts, evidence, things that make it look like I was the aggressor. She's been building a case against me for years, just in case. The calculated nature of Emma's manipulation is staggering. She's not just an abuser, she's a methodical one. Then, need to talk to a lawyer, a therapist, someone who can help you navigate this safely. And lose my family anyway? The moment anyone finds out, it's over. My parents will disown me. My younger brother will never speak to me again. I'll be the family disgrace, the perverted son who molested his own sister. That's what Emma wants you to believe, that you have no options except her. But you do. There are resources for people in situations like this. Situations like what? Incest survivors? Abuse victims? Both? He laughs bitterly. I've looked into it. All the resources are for people trying to escape their abusers. What do you do when you don't want to escape? When you're so twisted up inside that you actually want to stay? I don't have an answer for that. I should have answers. I should know how to help him. But I'm out of my depth, drowning in the horror of what my friend has become. You're asking the wrong person, Jake. I'm not qualified to help you with this. You need professional help. I had professional help. You, that night 2 years ago when you told me to. Forgive myself and be happy. I took your advice. The accusation stings because it's true. I did say those things. I gave him generic, meaningless advice when he needed real help. When he needed me to say, you need to report this. You need therapy. You need to get away from your abuser. But I was caught off guard, horrified, and I said the first thing that came to mind. And now he's using my own words to justify his continued abuse. That's not fair, and you know it. Isn't it? You're my friend, Sarah. You knew what happened, and you told me to be happy. So I found happiness. You don't get to judge me for that now. I'm not judging you. I'm worried about you. You think I'm disgusting. I can see it on your face. You've been inching toward the door handle since I started talking. You want to run away from me? Just like everyone else would if they knew the truth. He's right. I do want to run. Every instinct in my body is screaming at me to get away from this conversation, from the photographs still spread across his lap, from the casual way he talks about his relationship with his sister like it's just another complicated romance. But I force myself to stay, because Jake needs something from me, and even though I have no idea what I can give him, I owe it to the friend he used to be to try. I don't think you're disgusting. I think you're trapped in something terrible, and you've convinced yourself it's love because that's the only way to survive it. You don't know what it's like to be seen completely, flaws and all, and still be wanted. Emma knows every dark thing about me, and she stays. She chooses me every day. She chooses you because you give her power. Because you're her secret, her possession, her control. That's not love, Jake. That's ownership. Maybe I want to be owned. Maybe that's what I need. The resignation in his voice is heartbreaking. He's given up. Maybe he gave up years ago, and I'm only seeing it now. What happens when your parents find out? Because eventually they will. Emma thinks we can move away, start over somewhere no one knows us, just be a couple, no history, no family complications. You'd abandon your whole family for her? What choice do I have? If I leave Emma, she destroys me. If I stay, I have to hide forever or run. Either way, I lose my family. At least if I'm with her, I'm not alone. The trap is perfect. Emma has made sure Jake believes he has no way out. Every path leads to destruction except the one that keeps him with her. It's masterful manipulation, and I hate that I can see it so clearly while Jake remains blind. You could fight her, tell your story first, get ahead of her threats. You really think anyone would believe me? The man who confesses to sleeping with his half-sister and then says it was actually her fault? I'd be laughed out of every room. He's probably right. Male victims of female abusers are already dismissed and disbelieved. Add in the incest component, and Jake would be crucified in the court of public opinion. Truth be damned. Then you need evidence. Record your conversations with her. Document her threats. Build your own case. I can't do that to her. I love her, Sarah. That's what you're not getting. Even knowing everything, even seeing the manipulation, I still love her. Or maybe I'm so traumatized that I've confused love with Stockholm Syndrome. Either way, the feeling is real. My heart beats faster when I see her. I think about her constantly. I'd do anything for her. Isn't that love? I want to scream that no, it's not love. It's trauma bonding and abuse and psychological manipulation. But would he hear me? Or would I just be another person trying to tear him away from the only relationship he believes he deserves? What do you want from me tonight, Jake? Really? He gathers up the photographs and slides them back into the folder. I want you to be my witness. I want someone to know the truth about us. Not the story Emma would tell if things went south. The real truth. That we love each other. That I chose this, in whatever twisted way that's possible. That if something happens to me, it's not because she forced me or blackmailed me. It's because I walked into this with my eyes open. That's not true, though. Your eyes weren't open. You were 16 and confused, and she took advantage of that. Maybe at first. But I'm 26 now. I've had 10 years to leave. 10 years to tell someone, to get help, to do anything other than fall deeper into this. At some point, doesn't it become my choice? The question haunts me because I don't know the answer. When does victimhood end and agency begin? Can you choose something if all your options have been systematically eliminated? Is it consent when the alternative is destruction? I think you should tell your parents, I say finally. The truth, all of it, including the blackmail and the threats and the way it really started, before Emma can control the narrative. Take back your power, Jake. And if they hate me, if they side with her anyway, then at least you'll be free. Free from the secret, free from the constant fear of exposure, free from her control. Isn't that worth something? For the first time tonight, I see a flicker of something in Jake's eyes. Not hope exactly, but possibility, like he's considering a future he thought was impossible. I don't know if I'm strong enough. Then find a therapist who specializes in this stuff. Work with them first. But do something, Jake, because this path you're on leads nowhere good. He nods slowly, clutching the folder to his chest like a shield. I'll think about it. That's all I can promise right now. That's enough. That's a start. We sit in silence for a moment, the weight of the conversation settling over us like fog. I want to hug him, to comfort him, but I can't bring myself to move. There's too much between us now, too much knowledge I can never unknow. I should go, Jake says eventually. Thanks for meeting me, for listening, for not running away screaming. I considered it, I admit, and he laughs weakly. I know, I saw. He opens the car door but pauses before getting out. Sarah, you're a good friend. Better than I deserve. I'm sorry I put this on you. Just promise me you'll think about what I said, about getting real help. I promise. He leaves, and I watch him walk back to his car, the folder still clutched under his arm like evidence he can't destroy, but can't share either. My hands are shaking as I start my engine. I feel contaminated by the conversation, stained by knowledge I never wanted. The drive home is a blur. My mind keeps replaying Jake's words, Emma's calculated manipulation, the casual way he described their relationship like it was just another complicated romance instead of a decade-long nightmare. I think about that 16-year-old boy who just wanted to understand himself, and the 19-year-old sister who should have protected him but chose to exploit him instead. I think about all the moments I could have said something different, done something more, then a better friend. When I get home, I do what I should have done 2 years ago. I research therapists who specialize in trauma and abuse. I compile resources from male victims of female abusers. I look up legal aid organizations. Then I send it all to Jake in a single text message with no commentary, just links and phone numbers. He doesn't respond. Not that night, not the next day. Radio silence for weeks. I'm starting to think I've lost him, that Emma has convinced him to cut off the one person who knows their secret, that maybe I pushed too hard, said too much, drove him deeper into her arms. Then, exactly 1 month after our parking lot conversation, I get a text at 3 a.m. I told them, everything. You were right. Thank you for not giving up on me. I call him immediately, but it goes to voicemail. I try again and again. Finally, on the 4th attempt, he answers. His voice sounds hollow, exhausted, but underneath, there's something I haven't heard in years. Relief. What happened? I recorded Emma threatening me. Took me weeks to get her to say it clearly, but she finally did. Told me if I ever tried to leave, she'd destroy me. Had it all planned out, down to the fake text messages she'd show our parents. I took the recording to a lawyer first, then a therapist, then, finally, my parents. With the lawyer present. And they lost their minds. My dad wanted to call the police on both of us. My mom wouldn't stop crying, but Emma made a mistake. She tried to stick to her story about me forcing her, about being the victim. But my dad demanded to see her evidence, her texts, all of it. And when he saw the dates, saw that it continued for years, saw how methodical she'd been about documenting everything, he realized she wasn't collecting evidence because she was afraid of me. She was collecting evidence to control me. My heart is pounding. What about Emma? She finally broke down and admitted it. All of it. The blackmail, the threats, the manipulation. She still tried to justify it, said we were in love, that I wanted it. But my parents weren't buying it anymore. They'd seen the recording. They heard her threatening me in real time. Jake, I'm so proud of you. I'm in therapy 3 times a week now. Real therapy, not just sitting in a parking lot unloading on you. And Emma, she's been asked to leave family events. My parents are trying to get her into therapy too, but she's refusing. Says we're all ganging up on her, that she's the real victim. I don't know what's going to happen with her, but I know I'm done. Really done this time. Relief washes over me so intensely that tears spring to my eyes. How are you doing? Really? I'm not okay. I don't think I'll be okay for a long time. But I'm free, Sarah. For the first time in 10 years, I'm actually free. That has to count for something. It counts for everything. We talk for another hour, and with every word, I hear more of my real friend coming back, the Jake I met in the Navy, before I knew about any of this.
the person he could have been if Emma hadn't twisted him into something unrecognizable. He has a long road ahead of him, years of therapy and healing and learning to trust himself again. But at least now he's on a road that leads somewhere other than destruction. After we hang up, I sit in my dark living room thinking about second chances and the weight of secrets, about how a few careless words can be twisted into justification for terrible things, about how easy it is to lose yourself in someone else's narrative when you're desperate for connection and acceptance. I also think about Emma and how many other victims she might have manipulated into believing they were willing participants in their own abuse, because people like her don't stop with one target. They refine their techniques, perfect their manipulation, and move on to the next vulnerable person who just needs someone to understand them. Jake is free now, but the scars will last forever. Some wounds cut too deep to ever fully heal. All we can do is learn to live with them, to build a life around the damage, to find meaning in survival. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think victims of long-term manipulation can ever truly separate love from trauma bonding?